Welcome back to our Damon Floyd Coaching Show here on the Bear Network and Talk 101.3 The Buzz, where all the games supplied to you by Wholesale Supply Group. As always, our Coach Show brought to you by Lost Margaritas up on 25th Street there, so check them out. When you get hungry, get you a good pregame, postgame meal, or just anytime. Lost Margaritas, great friends and sponsors of our weekly Coach Show. Well, Coach, congratulations, a non-region win, homecoming win last week against Ooltewah, 49-14. Actually got into the Mercy Relay toward the end, but started out wild and crazy. 35 points scored in the first quarter, 21-14 the score. We scored, they scored. We gave them a touchdown basically on the fumble inside the 10-yard line. But after that, we dominated after that point.
Well, I mean, if you look at it on paper, and I mean, we saw film, and Saudi Daisy, they've had a little bit of a rough year, and we were bigger, stronger, faster, so we knew, over a four-quarter game that, that stuff would probably, take effect. But and that's the bad thing is the turnovers that we've had here lately, Saudi Daisy, William Blunt, and then at the end of the Maryville game, is, you never want to turn it over, but the turnovers we're having, they're getting it right there in the red zone, some even, like you said, on the 7-yard line. And now defensively, we got to go in there and bow her back, and try to hold them to a field. We did it a couple times, but we just can't afford to turn the ball over, and the defense has got to respond. And I said it when we did the interview last week is with Justin Barnes. He's going to dial something up that we haven't necessarily seen and people have used against us. Now, it was a simple wheel route, but the coverage that we were in, and this is something that we do as a coaching staff is, in practice, we try to take stuff that's going to hurt you and draw it up even though the opponent doesn't do it. Well, we've been running this coverage for a while, and it's kind of a man coverage, kind of a mixed combination kind of deal, and one of the routes that hurts us is the wheel route. And Saudi hasn't been showing that on film. And last week, it's really my fault because it's one of the things that I prepared to do on the scout team.
Coach Barnes knew you hadn't seen that.
He knew we hadn't seen it on film, and the games we played, and I honestly forgot to draw it up in practice as something that would just hurt us that teams haven't done. So that's really my fault. But, like you said, after that, we kind of settled in, and we played really good defense, offensive. I mean, we executed. I think we punted one time. I may have punted one time.
I believe you're right.
And so, the last couple of weeks, we have given up some points that we don't want to give up, but I do feel like we're playing pretty good football at this point.
Well, 21-14, minute 4 to go in the first quarter, and the lights go out.
Yeah.
So people say, how can the lights go out on a football game Friday night? Explain to them. It's a very simple reason.
Well, at first I joked around about it, but Saudi was kind of moving the ball on us, so it was 3rd and 6, and we need to turn the lights off. But it happened against Cleveland a couple years ago too, but I think it was on a Thursday night that night as well. So we have our lights scheduled. They're not turned on and off here at the school. It's actually, I think, a company in Iowa that they're on schedule. And, Thursday night, they turn off at a certain time when practice is over.
Right.
Well, obviously, I assume we did not make that schedule change with the people in Iowa for a Thursday night, and that's really the reason they went off. And then, of course, when they go off, it takes 10 to 12 minutes before they come back on fully. So that's what happened with the lights.
So that's the reason, folks, that the lights went out. It wasn't planned, but it was just a little bit of an oversight there. Well, I want to highlight senior Camden Creighton last week. Super defensive game, 10 solos, 4 assists, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack. That's pretty good night's work in anybody's book there, and he just continues to do that. But the entire defense allowed just 200 total yards. Again, 33 yards on 35 carries, and that's 3 weeks in a row. You're limiting the other team to about 1 yard per carry, and you're the defense coordinator. You got to be pleased with how that's been working out for you.
Yeah, I think anytime you ask any defense coordinator, the first thing you're going to do is try to stop the run. So that can all change this week, but I'm sure we'll get into that one. Speaking of Camden Creighton, he's another leader. I talk about Camden Creighton, C.J. Hardy, Ken Hooper all the time, those 3 guys, but Camden probably gets overlooked. And, he's probably 5'8". He may weigh 155 pounds playing inside linebacker in 6A football.
Wow.
It's his 2nd year starting. He's a senior captain for us. He makes all the calls on defense. First of all, he's a great person. He's a great, I hate to say kid, he's a great young man. He works extremely hard at his job. When he's not at football, he's very successful in school, in the classroom.
That's why he's a captain.
It's why he's a captain, because he does things the right way. But he's where he's supposed to be. I hate to say every play on Friday night because nobody's perfect, but 9 times out of 10, he's going to be where he's supposed to be from reading his keys. And, he's made a lot of tackles this year, and we kind of designed some things, especially with Ken's out, like we want Camden to where they're going to run their best stuff and to where his read will take him there. So really happy for him just because of the type of person he is and how hard he works, and he's definitely a leader of our team.
Well, offensively, 492 total yards, 367 of those on the ground. Didn't have to pass a lot, but when we did, 8 of 10, 80%, 125 yards, and he had that 95-yarder called back because of penalty. That offensive line, and they'll be the first to tell you, Aiden and the running backs will be the first. That offensive line we've bragged on all year long that we thought coming in, how they're going to be. 4 out of 5 graduated last year, but they have really kept doing their thing. Javon snapped the 5th rushing all-time in a season, and he's got more games to be played than Riley Harmon and Jackson Wilson, all running hard, but here again, that line just keeps doing its thing for them.
Oh, yeah. It all starts up front, especially at this level of football. And, I've talked about them for the past couple of weeks. They're starting to get some notoriety now about our rushing attack is, how good the offensive line is, and they deserve it. Matter of fact, it's funny because I think the very first interview we did this year, I came back to practice, and one of the offensive linemen, they're joking around with me saying they were a little upset because I talked about the offensive linemen. But everybody thought it was going to be a weak spot for us, but those guys have really stepped up. We knew what kind of potential they had. Yeah. And they're big, strong, and they're smart kids. And I forget who I was telling this the other day, but they're a tight unit. Every offensive line group is tight. This group's tight, and with Coach Gideon and Coach Watson coaching them, they're going to be tough. So right now it's gelling really good, but I'm telling you now, and I know we're going to get to McMinn, but it's going to be a different challenge than we've had the past couple of weeks when we go against McMinn this Friday.
Well, speaking of McMinn, we're going to take a break right here on behalf of Los Margaritas here on Talk 101.3 The Buzz and Bear TV. We'll be back with a look at that game this Friday night, Bear Stadium. Back in just a moment.
One thing to love about the Tennessee Valley is Bradley Central Show Choir, Vocal Motion. The other thing to love is the local Geico office on Lee Highway.
You could save a lot. Oh, you could save a lot. Oh, you could save a lot. But how do you know?
Unless you call 894-2600. Got a car? Got a boat? Got a home?
Get a quote.
Welcome back to our weekly coach show. Damon Floyd brought to you by Los Margaritas. Coach, we played the non-region game with Saudi last week. McMinn stepped it in there with Maryville. Pretty much got their offense shut down. 21-2, they lost that game. So now the battle this week is between us and McMinn County for the home playoff position. You can't overstate how important that is for us. But what's the challenge of playing the Cherokees, I guess?
It starts with Jalen Hunt, their running back. You did say that Maryville held McMinn's offense scoreless. They had 2 points on a safety, but Jalen Hunt rushed for 170 yards. Mm-hmm. I have yet to see anybody on film tackle him. I mean, there's times, obviously, he gets tackled in a football game, but consistently, you can't tackle him consistently. He is so patient. First of all, they're good up front, and it starts with Bryce Goodner, the kid that's going to Virginia Tech. I shouldn't say kid; he's a grown man.
Yeah, every sense of the word.
Yes, he's going to Virginia Tech. And his dad actually played here at Bradley. Bryce, can't think of his name right now, but Goodner's his last name. Blake, I think. But anyway, so it all starts up front. But Jalen Hunt is number one. If he finds a little crease, he's going to hit it. He can make you miss. He's not the biggest guy, but he breaks a lot of tackles. So Maryville's probably done the best against him, but like I said, he still rushed for 170 yards. So we definitely have our hands full. I mean, that's who we're focusing on. Is we and I've told our defense this: look, you can't get frustrated if he makes runs, you know, and even if he scores a long touchdown or they drive and score a touchdown, you got to keep playing because you got to give them credit. They're very successful for a reason. That's because they're good at what they do. Coach Cagle does a good job of calling the plays and setting them up, you know, where you can't just all 11 go tackle Jalen every time.
Right.
But he's going to make some plays, and we understand that. But it's a 4-quarter game, so somehow we just have to find a way to get him on the ground.
Well, we wish you success doing that. I was just listening to your description of him, how he runs, of Hunt, his run, his hard to bring. You're describing Javon Burke.
Yeah, a lot of like. They're very similar running backs.
Yeah.
You know, neither one of them are the biggest, but they're very elusive, and they're very tough. And you know, if they get a little bit of space, then they can take it to the house.
Well, got a pretty good quarterback, Jaden Miller. He's not bad himself. You got to count for him and know where he's at all times because he can take off and run the ball, and he can fling the ball down the field, and it's just going to be a very entertaining game. One of the longest running rivalries in the state, I think. Midway and Rockwood is the longest, and Meriden South Pittsburgh started a year later. And we started McMinn County, played continuously since 27. Some years we played them twice. Just a few years ago, we played them twice, back-to-back games at their place. You know, you were the head coach there. But does it take much to get the kids fired up for a game like this, knowing how much is on the line, knowing it's McMinn County? Because we've talked about this before. McMinn County looks at us like their number one arch enemy is Bradley Central High School. Do our kids understand that and appreciate that from your perspective?
No. And we're trying to relay that message now. I hope it's getting across. But, you know, we've told some stories, and you probably remember this a couple years ago. Well, it's probably been 10, 12 years ago when there was a fist fight in the 50-yard line at the beginning of the game. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've told our kids. Like, it's not going to be a fist fight, but it's basically like a fight. You know, you got helmet and shoulder pads. That's right. You got helmet and shoulder pads on for a reason. It's going to be a physical game. There's no, and Bo Cagle will tell you, they do not like Bradley County, and vice versa. We need to take that same attitude Friday night. But I think our kids probably get tired of me saying, "Well, you got a rival game this week. This is a big rivalry." You know,
But they are.
But they are, and that's the good thing is at Bradley you got a lot of rivals, and this is another one, and probably, you know, I mean, there's obviously other guys in there, but this one's as important as any. And now you throw in all the playoff implications and the region standings for a home playoff game. It's pretty important. So we're going to keep pounding that message of what a big rival game it is, and it's going to be intense, and it's going to be a 4-quarter battle. So I don't know. I mean, we'll line up, play Friday, and find out.
Well, last week in the rankings, McMinn was number 4, Bradley number 6. McMinn lost, we won, we jumped. We're number 4 this week in the AP sports writers rankings, and McMinn drops number 6. I'm sure Bo knows that, and he'll make his kids aware of that. But you're the longest tenured coach at 15 years in our whole region. Bo is 1 year behind you at 14 years. You guys, and you're good friends off the field, you know, pals and all that. Don't go out and eat dinner together, I don't guess, or anything like that. But still, there's probably not a whole lot that he's come up with that you haven't seen, or then vice versa. There's not a whole lot left in the playbook that you can dream up that he hasn't seen either. Do you think, you know, do you think as a coach, I know what he's going to do in this situation? Do you sort of game plan that way, or you try to outguess him, or you throw some special plays or things in there at him?
I don't think there's any secrets. Now, the difference is our kids don't know those secrets. You know, so there's things that we've seen over the last 14 years, and in both sides, they know what we're going to try to do. We know what they're going to try to do. Obviously, stopping is the hard part. The funny thing is, you talk about going out to eat. We actually do eat together.
Oh, really?
Off season. And the reason is Travis Adams. You know, who's our baseball coach, one of my good friends, is their first cousins. So, you know, Travis, he has some cookout stuff. So me and Bo's been at a couple different cookouts, birthday parties, that kind of thing. But now it ain't always been like that. And Bo will be first to tell you, there's been plenty of Friday nights we're on the opposing sidelines yelling at each other across the field. But you know, it is, and you know, he's trying to beat us, and obviously we're trying to beat them. So at the end of the game, we know what it's about, but it's very competitive, and a lot of respect for him and his program because of what he's done since he's been there. But there is not a lot of secrets, and not only with McMinn, but really in this day and age, because you get every opponent's game. You know, with huddle the way it is, you know what people are trying to do, and so really it's just about executing. So that'll be the same case Friday night.
Well, you've said on our interviews more than once, your players shouldn't worry so much about what the other team is going to do. They should just worry about doing what they're supposed to do and execute the way they're supposed to, offense, defense, special team, and things seem to take care of themselves if that works out that way. We're going to have a limited sellout. It'll be a sellout Friday night, no doubt about it, but a limited sellout due to the virus and all that stuff. But this game has been looked at by us in the media all year long. Joe Cannon, who's sitting over here in the studio, and I and Earl, we've all looked and said, that McMinn game at the end of the year is going to be a very influential game in a lot of reasons. Didn't know exactly how it would work out, but it's come out exactly the way we thought it would so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot on the line. And, you know, I think the biggest thing, and our kids need to understand this, it's the next game, obviously, but it's McMinn. And whatever happens next week in the playoffs, you know, us and McMinn are obviously both in them, so we'll worry about that next week. We need to concentrate on Friday. No, really, it doesn't matter what's on the line.
Yeah.
It's McMinn.
Yeah.
And we got to make sure we relay that message. Now, that's not going to be the reason we win or lose the game, but I want our kids to understand that there's a hatred, and McMinn County does not like us. So we have to be ready for that intensity Friday night.
Well, it's going to be intense, folks. We encourage you to get your tickets early so that you don't get shut out at the gate. There will be limited. It'll be a sellout. We're guaranteed it's going to be a sellout because McMinn's going to bring a lot of folks. They know what's on the line. As you say, they don't like Bradley. Bradley doesn't like them, and it's a battle for the home field position in the first round of the playoffs. So we encourage you to be there. Listen to our game starting live at 6 o'clock in the press box with myself, Earl, and Gwen Schroyer, bringing you the sideline reporting. And we'll have that action for you with a kickoff at 7:30. Until then, this show's been brought to you, of course, by Lost Margaritas. We're going to wrap it up here. And don't forget, Travis Adams Left Field Lounge this week will not be here at the school. It'll be at Stadium Barbecue beginning at 5:30. So go by there and grab your food, come on down here, or stop there and eat if you like to. And one more thing I'd like to mention, a personal note here, John Kaufman, the 47-year play-by-play man for McMinn County is ending his career this week. This will be his last final season, regular season game when he comes in Friday night, and we're going to salute him at halftime of that game Friday night. But we're going to miss him dearly. He's one of the really, really good guys. He's sort of like a Corky Whitlock in McMinn County. We're just going to miss him. But thanks again to Lost Margaritas. Until next time, for Coach Damon Floyd, it's Gary Ownbey saying so long, God bless, and go Bears.